We had to move inside Plan B. So if everybody will make their way in. I believe that children are future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children flatter. Remind us how we used to be. Everybody searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone who could fill my needs. A lonely place to be. And so I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in one shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. Woo! I don't know how to follow that act. Amazing. Thank you, Gabby. Thank you, everyone, for being on the stage of insanity, screaming, yelling, saying awful things. And my team, for the most part, remained calm, collected, and better than that. Because we know our message is the truth. And they can bang and scream at us. And we will never All right. Come on up. Yeah. Well, let's give people a round of applause.
All right, perfect. Hi guys, my name is Abel Garcia. I'm a melody transitioner. I started beginning in 2016 when I went to see a therapist here in Southern California. On my first appointment with this therapist, I told her, I think I might be transgender and I need your help. Immediately, I was affirmed by that therapist. She told me I had my letters to transition for hormones, and when I asked her why, she told me that she did not want to gain. I did not get the hormones that day. I waited a couple of months. Eventually, my father took me to Mexico, which was the incident that, looking back now, is what caused the transition. So my father took me to a brothel in Mexico. Make that story long story short, I was a prostitute against my own will. After that incident, like I said, continued going to the therapist and eventually accepted the hormones. Not even a year into hormones, that another medical professional had given me a letter after. I had only asked for a breast implant, and I said that eventually I want to get my face done, and I want to get what is commonly known as bond surgery. For a male, that would have been my genitals. but like I said, so I only had after surgery. After that, a few weeks later, I get in the mail a letter from my insurance saying that I did approved for both top and bottom. I ignored the letter for bottom surgery, but I did eventually get top. A few months after I got top surgery, after all the euphoria ended, after all the love bombing had ended, after every type of support that I had ended, one day I just woke up and I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was looking, what am I doing to my body? I realized that no matter what I did, hormone surgery, even if the world accepted me as a woman, I would have never been in. All I was is carbon copy of the partner of the woman, but I believe a woman was. But I would have never known what a woman could be because I am not able. I was just a man pretending to be a woman. So after that, I went to see my therapist, the one who affirmed me right away. And I told her, I think I made a mistake. What's going on? She told me it's not because I made a mistake. It's because I have childhood trauma that is recirculating. I'm a little everywhere. And because I just had surgery and I was recovering. After that, I decided, you know what, I'm not going to do it. I went to the second therapist and I said, I think I made a mistake. What can we do? He did not agree with me wanting to detransition. Instead, he told me I should not be too cavalier with my gender identity regarding detransition because I don't know the full extent of damage to my body. Now, I think y'all just caught that. Unless I'm wrong, I was told I should not detransition because I don't know the harm that could be done to my body. I was questioning when I wanted to detransition, but where was those questions when I wanted to transition? They weren't there. I was immediately affirmed. So after that, I went to a third therapist. But before that, I was losing hope. I was feeling hopeless, lonely. I didn't know what to do. But thankfully, I was able to find a third therapist who was willing to help me, who was willing to help me detransition, even though in California, conversion therapy is banned. And the reason why I say that is because he wasn't doing conversion therapy. He was just talking to me like a normal person. But because the California state does not approve of detransitioning, they only approve of transitioning. My therapist would have been accused of conversion therapy. After a couple of years of fighting the state, after fighting my insurance, we eventually were able to get detransition. Had to fight my insurance, and now here I stand as a detransitioner. Sorry. So the reason why I'm here today, I'm here asking the AAP to take a stance, to take a step back from the current model right now, because the only model we have right now is to affirm and affirm only. We do not ask questions of why a child wants to transition. If we ask those questions, as you all already saw, we have protesters accusing us of being transphobic, of being hateful. But we are not hateful. We do not want children to be harmed. These children are going to be sterilized for the rest of their life. They're going to be on expensive drugs. And how many surgeries are they going to have that have high complication rates? So again, I am here asking the AAP to take a stance and to look at the current model we have, because we cannot be harming our children. We cannot be harming young adults.
Okay. Welcome back, Abel. Welcome back to your male sex. Okay, our next speaker is going to be Chloe Cole. If you don't know her, you must be living under a rock. She's everywhere. Her voice is powerful. She's 18 years old. She is what gives me hope, because young people need to reject this. Chloe? All right. Oh, there she is. Come on up. There was one time I believe that the worst thing ever was being I felt isolated. I fit in better with the seven minutes. I hated the company. I did. Felt my body. I began to get older than I do. I saw those in women were portrayed in media, from cartoons to Instagram posts. I tore myself apart because on all fronts, there was some ideal that I failed to achieve. I had no strong female role models to base myself off of. Only the clumsy caricatures of women that I saw on screens. The girls and women I knew growing up always talked about how horrible being a woman is, how terrible periods are, how unbelievably painful pregnancy and childbirth are, and never the blessings that come with any of it. This association with femininity was inevitable. My double mastectomy at 15 was also unfortunate. Inevitable. Afterwards, I learned that this was the universal feeling among girls and young women, and that most of them grow out of it relatively unscathed. I wasn't afforded that luxury. I was fast-tracked down a destructive path, including puberty blockers and testosterone, at 13 years old, by the very physicians that you hear today. I'm Chloe Cole. I come here today to represent fellow detransitioners and to sound the alarm on these abusive practices. Yesterday, I announced Trans United, an organization dedicated to supporting detransitioners and their causes. Our first initiative was to write a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland in response to the letter AAP, APA, and Children's Hospital Association sent to Garland, requesting censorship of criticisms of the so-called affirmative care model. The letter reads as follows. Dear Attorney General Garland, we are writing as a group of individuals who formerly identified as transgender. Many of us were young teenagers when we decided, on the direction of medical experts, to pursue irreversible hormone treatments and surgeries to bring our bodies into closer alignment with what we thought was our true gender identity. Many of us had extensive histories of mental illness. Many of us had experienced significant childhood trauma. But all of this was ignored because we uttered the word gender. This utterance placed us on a narrow medical pathway that led us to sacrifice our healthy bodies and future fertility in obeisance to the claim that our suffering was a result of having a gender identity that did not match our biological sex. In other words, we were born in the wrong body. We didn't know better. We were young, and we trusted our doctors. Our parents were also misled. They were told a common myth that if they did not affirm our new identities, which entailed fully approving our medical transition, then we would likely commit suicide. Given these options, what loving parent would choose to transition their child? This is not informed consent, but a decision forced under extreme duress. Some of us have chosen to speak out publicly about the harm that gender affirming care has caused us, but most detransitioners choose to remain silent and anonymous, because unlike the joyful and supportive communities that welcome all who transition, no such loving community awaits us. Instead, we are routinely harassed and browbeaten into silence for being an inconvenience to proper narratives around gender. But our growing population is becoming impossible to ignore, and others have started amplifying our suppressed voices by denouncing the uncontrolled medical experiments being performed on children in hospitals in the name of gender affirming care.
the American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, and Children's Hospital Association fully endorse the gender affirmation model of care, which prevents medical professionals from questioning a child's self-reported transgender identity and from exploring possible underlying factors causing their dysphoria. These endorsements, however, run counter to the recommendation of other countries such as Sweden, Finland, and the UK, who have conducted systematic reviews of evidence and concluded ununanimously, that the risks and uncertainties outweigh any known benefits. American medical organizations have not conducted a systematic review of the evidence. Their recommendations are based on a small number of badly flawed studies and ignore contravening evidence from other studies, precisely what systematic reviews are meant to prevent. The recent letter by these groups calling on the DOJ to put pressure on social media companies to censor who they portray as high-profile users on social media sharing false and misleading information is nothing more than an attempt to silence the reasonable voices of concerned critics calling for a more cautious approach to experimental medical practices impacting vulnerable children. We condemn all violence, threats of violence, and intimidation directed at physicians and hospital staff without caveat. And anyone who engages in such behavior should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But we also cannot ignore the harms being carried out against countless children in the name of gender affirmation that constitute much more than just mere threats. We bear the literal scars of this medical violence. The medical safeguarding of children should not be a political issue. Since truth is a prerequisite for justice, we must ensure that the already hot embers of political tribalism are not stoked. Children deserve the best evidence-based medical care available. Silencing the victims and critics of gender-affirming practices is not a pathway to truth and justice, but to ignorance. Please do the right thing. Children deserve better. Thank you.
Crying a lot today. I bet you are too. Let's hear from another young woman who was tricked by the medical community that there was something wrong with her body. Let's give it up for Kat Caddison.
Hi, I'm Kat, and I'm a detransitioner. When I was 13, I didn't want to be a girl. My body rapidly morphed into something I didn't recognize. Weight gain, growth of my hips and breasts, and stretch marks made me feel like I was wearing a costume I couldn't take off. Boys now ogled my chest or told sex jokes in front of me. Girls I was once friends with ostracized me. Adults made comments about my body and how it had developed. To escape the discomfort, I turned to watching anime and perusing online forums. I also developed an eating disorder, which I continue to struggle with for the next decade. I thought that if my body was slim, strong, and muscular rather than soft and curvy, I would be worthy of respect. My true self was hiding somewhere underneath this disgusting shell. It was around this time that I was first introduced to gender ideology when I came across a website for female to male transgender people. I learned about gender dysphoria, described as the uncomfortable feeling of incongruence between one's biological sex and her gender identity. I know it's a lot of air quotes. I don't have a choice. After reading this, I had an epiphany. Gender dysphoria, that's what I have. Finally, I now know the legitimate medical condition that explained why I hated my body so much. The website included photos of bearded trans men with prominent stars on their chests. I learned that if a person had gender dysphoria, it meant he was transgender, and the only treatment was to transition. There were links to buy binders and packers, find out how to obtain testosterone, and access legal name change information. Basically, a one-stop shop for transitioning. This easily accessible website has sections completely inappropriate for 13-year-olds, like how to have sex as a trans man, the various types of bottom surgeries, meaning phalloplasty, voidioplasty, hysterectomy. Someone in the forum boasted that her phalloplasty result was identical to male genitalia in appearance and function, leading me to believe that complete sex change was possible. I could be a man, and I had been right. My body was the problem. It wasn't aligned with my male brain, and I couldn't be happy until I transformed myself with hormones and surgery. I decided that as soon as I was able to, I would take all the measures necessary to transition. This was back in the early 2000s, so it wasn't so easy. I was not affirmed by my parents or my pediatrician, but I never stopped longing for life as a man. If I was a California teenager today, my delusion and self-hatred would have been affirmed. I would have been told that yes, my body was the problem. I would have been offered puberty blockers, which could have led to permanent effects like osteoporosis, stunted brain development, infertility, and lifelong sexual dysfunction. I may have had my breasts removed before they were finished growing. I could have had a hysterectomy, greatly increasing my risk of heart disease and leaving me dependent on testosterone injections for the rest of my life. After years of obsessive rumination, I began medically transitioning. Testosterone did not prove to be a magic elixir as I had hoped. It caused health issues and the loss of my singing voice. I was a semi-professional singer, so this impacted me financially as well as physically and emotionally. I made a difficult but worthwhile decision to detransition. While I still have to work through continuous vocal discomfort and pain, I survived adolescence and early adulthood with my body intact. I still have the option to have children, breastfeed, and have intimate relationships. But tragically, a rapidly growing number of detransitioners cannot say the same. Here today are people of all ages who have suffered irreversible physical and psychological damage due to being ushered down the trans path. And our stories are just the beginning. Today, gender ideology is being taught in schools, promoted on social media, and even featured in kids' TV shows. Children are being groomed to believe they could be in the wrong body and that it's perfectly acceptable to reject the biological reality of their sex and seek surgery to change it. The number of youths identifying as transgender in the US doubled between 2017 and 2020, reported at 300,000 as of 2020. And this is likely even higher now. WPAC, which proposes guidelines by which the AAP abides, recently removed the age requirements for gender-affirming procedures and all safeguards. From WPAC's self-described Standards of Care version 8, Appendix C, an adolescent must demonstrate the emotional and cognitive maturity required to provide informed consent/assent for the treatment. Let's be real. No adolescent can consent to this. Consent laws exist because we are aware that the human brain is not fully developed until approximately age 25. If a minor cannot consent to sex before age 18, drinking alcohol before 21, or renting a car before age 25, why does WPAC and the AAP consider them capable of consenting to experimental drugs and disfiguring surgery? Is this truly what's in the best interest of children? Or is medicalizing 300,000 minors simply in the financial interests of pharmaceutical companies and plastic surgeons? Gender affirming care may sound nice, but it is a dangerous treatment model based on low quality, biased evidence. Gender dysphoria is a mental illness, despite WPATH's attempt to rebrand it as gender incongruence. And pediatricians should never affirm mental illness. Young people deserve proper psychological care, not medical experimentation. As a detransition woman, I now know my body was never the problem. I'm grateful to my parents, teachers, and pediatricians for not affirming my delusion or allowing me to permanently damage my health. We must prevent this nightmare from happening to any more young people. Let's remind the AAP of the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. Thank you.
First, do no harm. 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 This is what doctors signed up for when they became doctors. They need to remember that. It's a simple phrase. First, do no harm. Therapists too. Endocrinologists. They're all in there. Teachers. Thank you, Kat, for sharing your story with us. Next up, we have Scott Nugent, a woman who fell prey to the gender ideology as a grown-up. She was tricked too. Any one of us could have been tricked. It is ubiquitous. It is offered as an elixir to save every pain that you feel. You must be born in the wrong body. Scott started Trade Voices 3.5 years ago to warn physicians, parents, therapists, teachers of what all of these surgeries are. So let's give it up for Scott.
Hey, everybody. It's kind of an exciting day, right? Before I start my speech, I just want to say to everybody that came up and spoke, oh wait, yeah, everybody, this is really hard to do. If you step back and think, what we're doing up here is we're saying, hey, we did something really stupid, and don't be as stupid as us. It's hard to do. So I want to thank everybody who did that. So that's very, very hard to do. So with the younger kids up here, they have approached the West. Very active. Okay. My name's Scott Nugent. I'm a lesbian and I'm a trans man. I'm a person who underwent a massive amount of irreversible surgery and cross-sex hormones to create an illusion of a male comfort. But I am still a woman, and I will always be a woman. My most important label is that of a parent. I'm a parent to 3 incredible children. And as a mother, and as a woman who has given birth, carried life, and as someone who fell for the relentless onslaught of glitter bombs and unicorn parts, as I call them, I ask, beg, and plead that the American Academy of Pediatrics to reverse course today. Not tomorrow, today. Not when you hear from more young transitioners, today, right now. Stop pushing puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries on children and youth. Stop telling kids they were born in the wrong body. They are just different. Different is okay. In fact, different is a superpower. The problem is being different is not embraced during adolescence. It takes time to accept your differences. I wish I had embraced my differences earlier. If I had, I would not be standing here today in front of you as a trans man with my health destroyed. My discovered purpose in life is to educate people that being unique is not a cause for medical intervention, but that these children need people in their lives to help them embrace, accept, and love themselves for who they are, not a delusion of something they will never become. In my 40s, I found myself in a vulnerable situation. I was in a relationship with a Catholic woman who soothed herself with the idea of being attracted to me as a woman, that somehow I was a man trapped in a woman's body. I reached out for help and met with a trans woman therapist who goaded me along. In our first meeting, she asked me, "So how are you interested in me?" If you knew me, you would know how silly that sounded. I had earrings on, makeup. Nobody would mistake me for a man. Hold on, I just lost it. Hold on. At 42, in that moment, I was reduced to a child, no longer able to think or objectively feel. All the suffering throughout my life, the yearning to fit in, of being different and not wanting to be. Same-sex attraction and more could be fixed. You see, the idea of embracing that I was born in the wrong body, all my problems I ever had would have been gone. And all the problems I would have in the future would not come up. You see, embracing something that doesn't help anything, but such a long process, it grabs you and holds on to you because you always think there's a next step, and there's a next step, and there's a next step. You see, I was loud and pushy. I was strong-willed and forceful. I was sporty and smart. I was successful in a mainly male-dominated sales field. On the other hand, I was feminine, and men were constantly trying to cure me, prove to me, and ultimately break me of my attraction for women. I was tormented for being gay. I felt that I belonged nowhere. I was different, yet unable to accept my differences. Just like these kids who believe that they're transgender today. Every forward step in my transition, at first, brought elation, but it was ephemeral. As the joy faded, I was encouraged to take the next step, and then the next step. I was not only a cash cow, I was a really disciple. I'm 7 years post-trans, and just like the only long-term study predicted, I have regret. But after nearly dying from transition surgeries, I cannot detransition. I cannot endure another knife into my skin or open myself up for more stares and questions. I accept my body today because I have to. So now let's jump to kids. Kids with no life experience, kids who are awkward, uncomfortable in their skin, the children that genuinely don't fit, the autistic kids, the abused kids, the mentally ill kids, the gifted artsy, and of course the same-sex attracted kids. These are the vulnerable children who are looking for a way to belong or for a way to escape their weirdness, their superpower of being different. They go to school and hear from their teachers that they can change their gender, change their name, and become somebody else. They believe the lie that they can be cured of their differences. If they just begin the process of transition, all their feelings of not belonging will disappear. Instantly, they will be celebrated as brave and authentic, and they will rise to stardom. These kids go on social media and make accounts with their FTM, MTF, or non-binary descriptions, and then tens of thousands of strangers cheer them on. The algorithms throw TikTok videos of supposedly happy transition people making double vasectomies look like Disneyland. Surgeons advertise their services to children. Influencers instruct children on how to lie and get hormones and puberty blockers without their parents even knowing. Boston Children's Hospital created a series of lighthearted videos explaining the various surgeries that are available for teenagers and young adults, as did the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh. We know that girls are getting their breasts cut off at 13. They don't know anything at 13. I didn't. Hell, I didn't even know anything at 42. We know that little boys are getting drugs that stop their penises from ever growing. Turn on the TV. And you can watch a reality show of minors going through surgeries that invert their penises into fake vaginal cavities. These children need to be permitted to grow and go through natural puberty. They should have a chance to get comfortable in their developing bodies, but instead the medical community is pushing gender non-conforming children into having medical procedures. Many of these kids who just turn out to be gay, instead, they are lifelong medical patients. Each patient gives the medical complex millions of dollars. In exchange, they continue to have complications, difficulty finding romantic partners, and they will never have biological children. If the current rate of kids that are being transitioned continues, we're going to have a whole generation of sterile human beings, and we will have turned a whole generation of children into medically induced lifelong patients without ever having one disease. If I, as an adult, could resist the allure of the quick fix elixir, do you really think somebody can with an immature frontal lobe? Mental health, love, and compassion are what these children need, not hormones and knives. They need to be told that it is okay to be gay, autistic, mentally gifted, mentally ill, artistically gifted. That it's okay to be weird and different. They need to be told that being different is a superpower. Pediatricians, please help. Please don't accept children's invented gender identity that is not compassionate care. Look at the casualties and why and what else is going on. Don't send kids to get hormone surgery. Let them hold on to their childhood and their health. You see, the media has been hiding the truth, and we're showing it to you right here today. If these doctors truly believe in the oath of do no harm, well, I'm afraid they're at a crossroads. And that crossroads is, are they going to embrace the heat that always comes from truth, or are they going to cower from it? Because if they cower from it, we're going to have a whole generation of kids butchered. And I ask that you act accordingly and do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. All really amazing stories, true stories. These are the truths. These are the truths that the mainstream media needs to hear, that they're hiding from the American people, that they refuse to report on. They refuse to hear the truth. But we're here to tell them that we are going to continue to speak. There's a very brave pediatrician here, Julia Mason. She is one of the few pediatricians that is willing to speak up about this tragedy. She was one of the authors of Resolution 27. Asking the AAP to do their job. Look at science. They said no. So let's hear from Julia.
I'm Julia Mason, I'm a pediatrician. And I trained in pediatrics starting in 1993 not far from here in Los Angeles at Children's Hospital. And I, graduated from medical school. Yes, and we did actually make that oath, the oath that says, first do no harm. My alma mater is doing a lot of youth transition. but I don't live in Los Angeles. And I started to get concerned about the numbers of kids I saw who were presenting with a recent onset of gender dysphoria. And the first couple I sent to the gender clinic, but I figured out pretty quickly that absolutely every patient I sent to the gender clinic was being affirmed and transitioned. There was a 12-year-old girl who was offered beauty blockers at the first visit to pediatric college. And that seemed fresh. And so I started looking for more information. I actually hadn't noticed that they put out their 2018 statement. They didn't make a big fanfare about it. They sort of published it in the Journal of Pediatrics, which I was getting, but I wasn't serious. And I actually found James Cantor's article fact-checking the AAP prior to ever finding, prior to reading the actual statement. And the amazing thing about that statement is that it was written by a young doctor, Jason Rafferty, and it was not fact-checked. Like, nobody checked his references. They did have a disclaimer on it saying that, Jason Rafferty read this and was responsible for what it says, but a bunch of pediatricians put their names on that. And then it was pointed out that there were errors, and there was silence from leadership. They didn't take it down, they didn't reconsider it, they just decided that they were going to, ignore this criticism and go. And that's kind of where it's been going since then. I went to the last in-person AAP meeting, which was in October of 2019, so prior to the pandemic. And I asked at my district meeting what I could do to express my concerns about what's going on with pediatric gender medicine. And I got a lot of glares, but I was told by the guy on the dais that what I needed to do was submit a resolution to the annual leadership forum. And individual pediatricians can submit resolutions, and when they get voted on, and if they're in the top 10, they can influence what the AAP does. So I sat back down, and the meeting continued, and when the meeting was over, I went up and I asked them, okay, writing a resolution, how do I do that? Where do I send it? It turned out that its deadline was in less than a week. And as I worked on writing that resolution, I actually submitted two. Submitted them in 2019 for the 2020 ALM. I figured out that this was the guy's go-to procedure for appointing people. Just tell them to write a resolution and they're off. But I actually submitted one because I'm a member of SEGM, the Society for Evidence-Based Gender Medicine, and we are a group of doctors, therapists, researchers who are trying to push back at the lack of rigorous science in this one particular field. So my resolutions were not sponsored, and I attended the meeting. It was online, like everything in the spring of 2020. And sort of they got to my resolution, and they're like, "This is unsponsored. Do you have a second?" And then within a second, moving on. So my first resolution died a quiet death. Then the next year, a different pediatrician, who I didn't know until after she submitted the resolution, but Sarah Palmer, who's a pediatrician from Indiana, she submitted the resolution today and also asked them to take a second look at the statement that they put out in 2018. She didn't have a sponsor, but at the meeting, she did get a second. And so her resolution was voted on at the annual leadership forum, but it was voted down. The interesting thing about her resolution, though, was that they put it up on an AAP website that all pediatricians who are fellows of the American Academy of Pediatrics, there's 7,000 of us, could access. They could read the resolution, they could comment, and they could sort of give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. This is not a final vote, it's just a straw poll. And it was interesting because 80% of the pediatricians who interacted with that resolution were in favor of it. But of course, it was a small number overall. And that summer, the SEGM, the Society for Evidence-Based Gender Medicine, applied, but we signed up to have a booth at the exhibition hall because the AAP was planning an in-person meeting in October of 2021. It's going to be in Philadelphia. So we sent them 2,500 $100, and we picked out a booth location close to the Mayo Clinic and the exhibition hall. And we were wondering what would our signs say and what materials would we print up. And then we got an email from the AAP saying, the AAP reserves the right to decide who can be at our exhibition hall, and we've decided we can't. And we asked for, feedback, like what is the space on, and we got nothing. We got like a withdrawal. And the meeting actually got canceled because of the Delta wave of COVID. But anyway, that's what happened in the fall of 2021. In the spring of 2021, we were thinking again about writing a resolution. We had thought that we had somebody who was going to sponsor our resolution, but they went to a leadership meeting, and I'm not sure what was said to this person, but they came back at us and said, these statements come up for renewal every 5 years, and that's 2023, so it's going to happen anyway. They're going to look at it, and so there's really no need for it. And so we didn't have a sponsor, but I decided early in March that we needed to submit another resolution. And so we submitted it. It's in the packet of material. The entire text of the resolution is in that small piece of paper about resolution 27. And it simply asks that the American Academy of Pediatrics conduct a systematic review of the evidence. This is a thing that has been done in Sweden. This has been done in Finland. This has been done in the United Kingdom. And in Sweden and Finland, they pretty much stopped doing pediatric transition. And in the United Kingdom, they definitely seem to be backing away from pediatric transition. There have been statements out of France and New Zealand also expressing concern with what's happening. But here in the United States, we can't get anybody to listen to us. About a week ago, I sent out an email to 150 AAP leaders because my co-author of a piece I put in the Wall Street Journal wanted to just have a chat with one of them, and I've gotten 2 responses. And one was from a very nice man from Rhode Island who said, I was also worried about pediatric transition, but then I went to a workshop at my local children's hospital and they explained it to me. And so maybe you should go to your local children's hospital and they'll explain it to you. And then another one from a chapter president who was very much like, I would not presume as a general pediatrician to understand this, and I rely on the world-class specialists that we have at our children's hospital. So, in conversations with friends that I trained with, they tend to say things like, this is all very confusing and complicated, and I don't understand it, and so I just want to refer to the specialists. And then I have to say to them, the problem is that the specialists don't do any kind of evaluation. When you're at the specialist clinic, they just affirm. And I'm worried about my professional organization, the American Academy of Pediatrics, because I fear that they are putting themselves in danger of lawsuits. There was nobody else who was willing to say, this is how you identify the child that will benefit from transition. In the original Dutch protocol, had years of evaluation and was still happening. But the AAP just kind of leapt into that breach with that 2018 statement, written, I think, primarily by one enthusiastic young doctor, who said, the way you know whether a kid is trans is to just ask them, and then they'll tell you. And if they say they're trans, and that's the end of that, then you affirm. Now, there's one bit of hope. I've had an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal where I, chided the AAP for being so unscientific. And they did respond in the Wall Street Journal, and they gave a new definition of affirmative care. They had a lot of things I agree with. I'm trying to remember the words. They said that it's not always medical treatment and surgeries. In fact, for the vast majority of children, we recommend the opposite. And I'd really like to push on that and find out what does the AAP mean when they say they want to do the opposite. They want to recommend the opposite because that sounds awesome. And I think we should pursue that path. I don't know, just now at the plenary session, the current president of the AAP talked about the threats and danger to pediatricians in children's hospitals and told the pediatricians in the plenary session, thousands of them, that they should not engage with protesters that are outside the gates of the pediatricians. So it's going to be hard, but all we can do is keep offering information and see if we can get through, because I really feel like most pediatricians are not under this. I don't think most pediatricians feel like the best solution to an unhappy 12-year-old is to block their puberty and put them into menopause. Wow, that was great stuff. But I get for not writing anything off.
Anyway, thanks everybody for coming.
All we can do is keep trying, guys. We're gonna keep trying, right?
That's right.
Yeah, we're gonna grow our numbers. We're gonna get louder. We're gonna get more strategic. We're gonna end it. Yeah. Puberty has been going on for ever since humankind has been here, 200 million years. It's never been deemed a disease, a problem. Now it is, so we need to stop that. I want to personally thank all of our speakers for being so amazing, sticking with. I would say the B word, but I can't use that word anymore because they stole it. That word brave, I won't use it anymore. They've stolen a lot from us. We're not going to let them steal anymore. So, it's hot out. I don't know what's going on out there. I don't know if our counter protesters have gone home. A lot of them tried to sneak in here and stop them. Thank you, security. Thank you, people. We caught every single one of them. Pretty easy. They wear a uniform. They're usually not sober. So, at this point, we're going to adjourn. Those of you who still have some energy and still have it in you, go back out there with your signs. I'm going to be back out there. I drove 8 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours to get down here. I'm going to use all my time. I might be collapsed in the bush, so pick me up. But I'm going to go back out with my signs for an hour or so. If you're done, I get it. No judgment. It's a long day. It was a long night last night. I just hope that you will keep on fighting with our duty. I want to give a special thanks to, I'm not going to say her name because she's undercover, but she knows who she is. Elle, our designer. Jeannie, my partner in crime. Seek and Celeste, who helped put this together. We couldn't have been done. I'm just saying, there's the Pediatric Endocrine Society in May in San Diego. And if, like Julia said, she doesn't think that most pediatricians are on board with this. I have to agree, there are some outliers, and they're pretty vocal. But the pediatric endocrinologists, not so forgiving. They're the ones vetting out the drugs and the puberty blockers. And maybe they're innocents too, but I have a hard time believing that. So, hey, get your shirts, order them. Look out for the email. All right, guys, thank you so much again for coming.